Alright guys, so we're gonna hop straight into the video. So I'm just ready to dye the wig. I used 3 boxes of the Revlon soft black or jet black. I can't remember which one, but it was one of the two. And I'm just showing you what the bundles look like beforehand. They were the natural color, and we're gonna be dyeing those darker. So the way I dyed the bundles is I just dipped each piece into the water dye. I'd used the watercolor method, and I dipped each piece in that mixture and let it sit in there for about 15 to 20 minutes. After those 20 minutes were up, I rinsed out the dye, conditioned the hair, and this is how much shedding I got. So not a lot of shedding at all. And right now I'm just getting ready to I'm getting ready to bleach the knots, and I'm just using some conditioner to lay down any hairs that want to stick up and brushing that back. To bleach my knots, I'm using 30 volume developer and BW2. I think I'm gonna get a stronger developer once this one is all gone, because it does take kind of long to bleach the knots, and now that I have a little bit more experience bleaching, I think I can go up to the 40 volume developer. I like to go for a thicker consistency when I'm mixing my bleach and my powder. I try not to make it too thick, but you don't want it dripping off of your spatula or your brush or whatever you're using. And I try not to press too hard onto the lace, but it seems like I always do. I lay it on aluminum foil. Apparently this makes it bleach faster. I don't know, sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't do it. It just depends. And this is how it is looking after I have dyed it. So you can see it's a much darker color than it was before, and this is what the lace and the knots are looking like after I bleached those. You're gonna need a dome cap, some needle and thread, a Sharpie, and some T-pins. So here's my dome cap, and I'm putting the part with the V in the front of my wig head, and I'm just lining it up with the tape measures that I have on my wig head. I have a video on how I put these tape measures down, so if you want to see it, it'll be linked in the description box below. But I'm just lining it up with that first tape measure and pinning it down in the front, and now I'm at the nape of the neck, and I'm going to stretch it across the entire 5 inches of the nape of the neck and pin that down as well. And when you're placing your frontal on your wig head, you want to make sure to pull it down in front of where the actual mesh dome cap is. So you want to pull it down a good bit. Just, I would say have half of your cap, have half of your frontal on the cap and half of your frontal in front of the cap. And I'm pinning it down in the back, making sure everything is nice and flat, and I'm not stretching it or anything like that. I'm just pinning it down so it's flat, but not stretching it out. So when you pin the middle down, you just want to take the 2 sides and just make sure they're flat. You don't want to pull them in the front or pull them in the back. You just want to pull them straight down and pin it where it, just pin it in place. Okay, now what I'm doing here is I'm taking the middle of the right side of my frontal, pulling it back a little and pinning it down in place. And the reason I'm doing this is, I actually don't remember why I'm doing this, but I just took the middle of each side of my frontal, pulled it back a little bit, and pinned it in place. Because I have like this piece of lace that's not like reinforced or anything, so I didn't know if I should just go straight down through here or if I should go down through here. Maybe I should have folded it and went down. That's probably what I should have did, honestly. I don't know. So I just decided to not go. I just decided to not sew it because I'm probably gonna cut like right here anyway, because this is like the end of the hair. So I'm probably gonna cut right there anyway. So if it's messed up and I have to redo it, I'll let y'all know. All right, so I had to completely start over. I took out all of the thread and repinned my mannequin head, or repinned my frontal down. Well, I only pinned this part down. But I know it's gonna line up the correct way now, so I mean, I don't know, I'm gonna make it line up the correct way. I'm gonna do it just like that so that this thick part ends right on the frontal. And I'm really glad that I decided to take it off and start over, because seeing that it fits perfectly now, by the time I got to the end, it would have been messed up. Probably, I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pin these sides down, and then we start sewing it down. So I'm holding this piece down that I just threaded through, taking the needle, putting it through the frontal and the dome cap. And then this piece of string on this side. So I have thread, needle, and the other piece of thread, the rest of the thread. And I'm taking the needle through the middle of those two, pulling it through to create that knot. And we're just gonna keep doing that. I'm not gonna sew on this thick part. I don't think it'll really matter for me because I'm gonna be on a sewing machine and I'm not gonna be intentionally missing this thick part, this thicker part of the band when I'm on my sewing machine, but I'm gonna skip it for now. But I don't really think it matters. Last time I sewed through it and the cap still fit. If I do decide to sew it all down, I just want to say now that when I get down here to this thick part of this elastic, I'm only going to sew through the first layer of the elastic. So I'm not going to take the needle and stick it all the way through like that. I'm only going to stick it through the first layer of the elastic like this. So it's only that first layer. You can still kind of see my needle glaring through the band. I'm not sticking it all the way through. All right, so I finally got this dang thing sewed down. So here's my frontal, completely sewed, very neat. On there. And I just sewed down all the way where it met the cap, and only sewed through the first part of the elastic. So I can finally move on to the next part. I'm just going to part the frontal, braid it out of the way so we can start sewing on the wefts. it. So just make sure the cap is flat, and you want to also make sure you're not sewing on to other parts of the cap or sewing onto hair that you don't want to be sewing onto. So just be careful, take your time, and at the beginning and at the end of each guideline that you follow, make sure to back tack and cut off excess thread as you go along. If you wait until the end to cut off all the excess thread, it's going to be annoying. So make sure you cut off the thread as you go along. When you get to the end of the guideline, I like to just cut off my weft right there. You are going to lose a little bit of hair, but it'll be fine. Just be careful you're not cutting anything you don't want to cut. And just repeat this all over your wig cap until you are done. And this is what the inside of my wig cap looks like when I have everything sewn down. Alright, so I'm finally finished the wig, and this is what it's looking like right now. I ended up using all 3 of the bundles, and I did have to take a bundle from the bottom and put it on top. It wasn't too bad, and the wig looks really good and it looks really full. And I'm gonna pop this on my head to show you what it looks like before I pluck the hairline and customize it. Because I customized this wig, it actually fits to my head. Like, my bald cap is not sticking out, and that's one reason. That's another reason, the main reason really, why I added inches to all of my measurements, whereas I usually wear a wig and my wig cap is sticking out in the back. This is all the hair to the front. It falls right to my waist. The longest inch I got was 18 inches. This is what it looks like on, and I think it looks pretty good. This is the texture of the hair after I bleached the knots, dyed it, and conditioned it and gave it a wash. I'll have another video of me plucking the wig and installing and styling the wig. I'm gonna show you what it looks like when it's straight, and then this is what it looks like when I've done nothing to it, and I'm also gonna show you what it looks like when I attempt to curl it. So yeah, that is the end of the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you have something to say, leave a comment down below. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.